Let's move on. Tonight there is some Champions League action, not quite as exciting as it might have been, although it's not a complete dead rubber. Dani Alves says that he wants his team to be able to make some history tonight. Graham Hunter's on the line. Graham, good morning to you.
Hi, Ger. Listen, it's very, very rare I disagree with you on anything, but this is an exciting tie. And if you watch the patterns rather than simply fixating on the scoreline of the first leg, you know that Real Madrid need guts and intelligence and a really big performance here to eliminate Paris Saint-Germain. This is a 90 minutes that's well worth listening to or watching.
Well, tell us then, because the assumption that they can survive without Neymar, is this like some kind of sense of maybe the team was over-reliant on Neymar and actually everybody raises their game? I
honestly think that the key thing about Paris Saint-Germain, irrespective of this tie, is whether they are a team, a squad, a unit, whether they are hard-boiled enough to do the things beyond what the star power allows them to do in League One, the League Cup, and the French Cup. Anybody who argued on your show that Paris Saint-Germain are better off without Neymar, deserves taken outside and being manacled to a stockade and mocked for the remainder of the day in the rain. But team games are about that ethos, and I do expect it to be a rallying, for absolutely certain. Neymar played in the first leg, and while he was exciting and while he created chances, they still lost with him in the team. I absolutely expect this to be a test of mentality, a test of fitness for Real Madrid, because if we focus only on Neymar's missing, Mbappe has been a tight decision about whether he starts or not, then we ignore the sort of split elements in the match. Real Madrid have come on to a game, and they've come on to efficacy in front of goal, but they're going to have 2 or 3 players in the 11 tonight who are very tight in terms of being able to make it, one, Ger, and secondly, last the pace. That's Marcelo, Kroos and Modric. I'm absolutely sure that 2 of the 3, probably all 3, will start. It's definitely the case that Kroos and Modric were anticipated by the doctors and physios not to make this match. So I'll take your Neymar point, which is logical to say. If you rob them of their most expensive star, their most made star, because Neymar's been the course in the Champions League and in the Olympics, he knows the final miles about winning, getting over the line. Okay, he's gone. But if that team unifies and works harder and makes fewer mistakes than they did in the first leg, in a home atmosphere where they're used to winning, where they beat Barca 4-0 last season, and then you add in the factor, let's say Madrid fade. Let's say it's a mistake to put faith in 3 players, Kroos, Modric and Marcel, for their experience when they're a little bit undercooked fitness-wise. You've got a contest here. I mean, I don't deny that on their birthday, their 116th birthday, I don't deny that as when the draw was made, my backing goes to Madrid because of their know-how of getting through tests like this. But guaranteed, am I 100% sure? No.
I see Miguel Delaney in the London Independent today was comparing this to the Ewing theory, and there might be something in that, because as you pointed out there, that Neymar, or PSG without Neymar, is clearly not a better side, but they might just be a tad more effective. Like you are potentially then playing Kylian Mbappe in his best position, which is on the left-hand side. And Angel Di Maria is a real unknown quantity when it comes to potentially Champions League this season, because at times in the French League this year, he's been sublime. And I know he comes with a bit of baggage over the last couple of years, but there is this potential that Angel Di Maria could put in one of the all-time performances of his career tonight, and could surprise us all, really.
I think you know already that despite the Manchester United era, Angel Di Maria has been to me a player of extraordinary skill, tenacity, somebody who does like the big moments, also a supplier. One of the things that's really true about him is that he understands the team ethic, albeit that he's been a star in his time, albeit that he has sublime individual qualities. He does look for the team ethic, and I would anticipate that. You put your finger on it. Right now, Di Maria feels at home. He feels on top form. He does bear a grudge about how some parts of Real Madrid treated him. He's friends with some of the players, but undoubtedly, and I know this because he's spoken about how he felt that Florentino Perez didn't give him the whole picture, didn't give him his whole faith, that he was undermined. It's the same thing as when Madrid were about to sign Gabi Milito, and Florentino Perez took a look at Milito and said, listen, an ugly mug like that isn't going to sell shirts. Pull the whole deal. Right throughout his time, because he looks like one of the Bash Street kids. Poor old Di Maria never felt that he was loved by the guy who runs everything at Madrid, Florentino Perez. Now, let's go beyond that. His ability to supply Cavani, who is right now probably the world's most potent goal scorer. He doesn't compare to Ronaldo or Messi in terms of star power, individual ability, proven trophy success either. What he does bring you is exactly the type of thing that the Real Madrid defence don't have to cope with in Spain a great deal. And if Di Maria is supplying Cavani properly, which, if we're being honest, although there was a combination Cavani-Neymar for Rabiot's goal in the first leg, what hasn't been proven yet under Emery is that Neymar-Cavani as a duo is going to be particularly prolific. Individually, they're firing on all cylinders. PSG is the world's leading scoring side. But as a partnership, I like Di Maria Cavani very much indeed to threaten Ramos Varane at the centre of the Real Madrid defence. I go back to my theme. This is going to be a cracking tie.
Does it make the case, though, that they haven't purchased particularly well if your big investment is Neymar, and we're saying that they actually have a chance of beating Real Madrid 2-0 or by 3 clear goals tonight at home, that this project hasn't been well thought through?
Ger, the easiest way to answer that is to say that Patrick Kluivert was the director of football last season. There you go. If you want to direct a project with vast sums of money, and you want to accelerate the type of football intelligence, football hard-nosedness, that you want to be competitive beyond the flat track upon which you're a bully, you need sensational know-how. I don't think that the owners at Paris Saint-Germain yet are fully switched on in terms of how hard the task that they've set themselves is. You don't simply buy your way to success. Money is the answer to getting great players, but it doesn't bring you the DNA. And if you look at the way in which they're still ultra-reliant on either Thiago Motta in central midfield, who's at pensionable age, extremely good competitive footballer, treble winner, but the wrong age to be facing this knockout tie. Lassana Diarra bought in an emergency at Christmas to fill in central midfield if it's, for example, not Motta. They forced out Matuidi because of financial fair play, because of who they wanted to buy up front. Matuidi would have been the absolute pinpoint perfect player to run Modric and Kroos around the park, hound them tonight, and he's not there. The football intelligence, the construction ethos that you're talking about, I think has been wanting a little bit. I didn't really approve of, although Unai Emery is a proven European trophy-winning coach, somebody who I like listening to, like talking to, and respect, I thought his first leg decisions weren't terrific in terms of how he treated, not just dropping Thiago Silva, but the impact that was likely to have. He's now reliant on him again in central midfield with Marquinhos, who I believe and hope, for the quality of the game, will also be fit. So, not just about this night's tie, Ger. In general, your point about has this vast sort of gold rush project been managed at the absolute epitome of football intelligence, in its construction, in how long they think it's going to need to be European level? The straight answer is no.
In terms of Madrid tonight then, do we expect Gareth Bale to start?
You're a mean fella. I could have given you 10 names, but you went for the one that I wasn't sure of. I think it's feasible that he starts, but I don't think it's guaranteed. The power of the BBC at the weekend was shown again. The acronym that they use here for Bale, Benzema, Cristiano Ronaldo, the BBC, has become something of a marketing ploy, and it ignores the fact that not only are they three fantastic players, but at their fit peak, they play very well together. It's a powerful trio. Last week, about this time, Bale was about to set out in a game against Espanyol, which damaged him badly. Benzema and Ronaldo were rested. It was a bitter, cold night up here with sleet pouring on them. Zidane wanted to rest certain players, including Casemiro. It was, at best, 2/3 strong side, and what it needed, given that Bale was starting, was an FA Cup attitude, and he didn't show it. It really was, Ger, one of the worst games I've seen Bale play in a Real Madrid shirt, and that hurt him. So I think there is a possibility that instead of Isco or Asensio, who the fans definitely want in the team ahead of him, I think Lucas Vazquez is a possibility. He's been, over the last 6 weeks, probably Madrid's second best player after Cristiano Ronaldo, who's been scoring freely again. His work rate, his power, his commitment to the cause, like Angel Di Maria, his team play, his ability to score and assist. He's made his case, Ger. Let me put it as simply as that. If Bale starts, because those three played really well at the weekend in the win over Getafe, Bale hit the post, had another great effort saved, scored the opener. He was much better than he was last week against Espanyol. But I think his case has been undermined. And if you were to phone me and read out the starting 11 from the Parc des Princes tonight, and you said to me, it's Lucas or even Isco or Asensio ahead of Bale, you wouldn't shock me, Ger.
Do you think there's a chance that if tonight's game was in the Bernabeu, there'd be less of a chance of Bale starting, simply because, as you mentioned there, the fans would be getting on his back a little bit, whereas there's that lack of pressure of, I guess, getting booed, essentially? I'm not sure, is it that bad yet, Graham, that there could actually be vocal and audible kind of criticism of Gareth Bale from the stands, but obviously he wouldn't have that in power, so potentially that would strengthen his case for starting?
Yeah, he doesn't have to put up with, or probably wouldn't understand, the ooh-la-las or the sacré bleus. You make a point that the atmosphere is different, and again, you're dealing with a load of debt there, because you know you're speaking to somebody who has been not defensive of Bale, but actually aggressive and on the attack about some of the utter cack that's been written and broadcasted about him over here. Because over the years, while he's been playing well, while the relationship with Ronaldo has been at best cold, while he hasn't learned Spanish, and while Madrid, at least on 2 occasions, have tried to ship him out to Manchester United in order to generate cash, the media have joined in a let's mistreat, let's give a bad name to Gareth Bale. And when you look at how he's performed generally over the years, including the majority of this season, I think his work rate, his success, his quality, his ability to appear in big occasions and score or make has been first class. He merits the trophies that he's got. 3 Champions Leagues. Yes, tonight is a Gareth Bale game when he's fully fit, when he's fully on form, where his head is in the right space. Gareth Bale is one of those players who has been given absolutely everything to be one of the world's top 6, 7 dominant footballers, except occasionally in certain circumstances, that absolute ruthless winner's mentality, I'm not certain about. And I go back to my point. He doesn't approach this game on the absolute best form or having absolutely convinced Zidane. And the phrase that Zidane used, it's better you get his opinion than mine. When he dropped him the other week, 3 games ago, Zidane said, Gareth has to learn about the team's importance. That's work rate we're talking about. That's when you press, when you drop back, what team shape you keep. Now, in a midfield where Kroos and Modric are probably medically fit, but have missed training and probably don't do the 90 minutes if they start, does that mean that Lucas Vazquez's energy and absolute commitment to tackling and harassing and pressing make him a possible starter ahead of Bale? Yes. Your contention that Bale on the break, Bale's power, Bale's pace against Paris Saint-Germain as they're pushing forward to try and close the goal gap, does that make him a candidate to win the tie, not just start? Yeah, but I back your argument for sure. How does Zidane see it? That's my doubt.
One last point. I mean, the notion that Zidane's job is at risk is something that we've discussed before, and we've talked about how ridiculous it is. In any other club in the world, you'd be like, oh, well, this guy probably has a job for life, but we know that's not the case. So is that not the other thing that actually sharpens Madrid's resolve tonight, just to make sure that they slam the upstarts at home and put in one of those great European performances that we expect from a team as festooned with greatness as this Real Madrid team?
Well, yeah, you matched 2 things. I think you've got half an apple, half an orange there. Because certainly the players, almost to a man, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, really, really adore Zidane as an individual, enjoy having him as a coach. You didn't need to allude to the fact that he's an 8-trophy man in barely 2 complete seasons. So I buy your answer that the players will give something for Zidane, but it's a different scenario, Ger. Number one, effectively, in terms of Real Madrid's judgment of their goals this season, if they go out, their season finishes. Yes, they'll have to fight to make sure that they're second or third, not fourth, and that the Champions League is a guaranteed feast for them again next season. But more importantly, I think that it's worth pointing out that this is what they do. This is the Champions League. I continuously use the phrase Pavlovian because they absolutely believe that this is their trophy, this is their territory, that they must win it. So while you do it for Zidane idea is good because he's not just a legend. They like daily training under him. They understand him. They respect him. You can see it in their big performances right across the 2.5 seasons that he's been in charge. Even when they're beaten, you know that they haven't gone, we're trying to get the coach out like they did under Rafa Benitez. But this is their trophy, Ger. They want to be the only team that has won the Champions League 3 times. They don't want their season ended on their birthday in early March, not even mid-March. Boy, oh boy, it is an all-or-nothing game for Real Madrid. And while I can't guarantee you that they're worth your €5 to go through, they're my bet to go through, because this is what they do. Yeah,
no, exactly. One last thing before we go. We have a picture of you right here in the office with our own Kevin Kilbane. Looking sharp.
Yeah, well, it's all very well praising it now, Ger, as the sun shines in my eyes and try to give you a better angle on the camera. But when I asked if I could move in, because it's a lot nicer than my apartment, your studio, and you brought the bailiffs and you shifted me out with security. Look, it was kind of you to offer us the facilities, but the real thrill was getting to know Kevin still better. You know, because he's on your show so often, the listeners know that we're talking about a guy of substance and intelligence and achievement whose opinions on all sports, given how big a GAA man he is, are worth listening to. My respect has gone up and up for him. As a footballer, I loved watching him. He was my kind of guy. Total energy, athleticism, winner's attitude, and a solid top-level career. But listening to him now, meeting him now, I like him a lot. The socio interview for the big interview series that we run was very successful. But, you know, things about people's background interest me. He made me laugh about his escapades on the local golf course, nicking golf balls. My respect for people who have had to work their way up from a background where things weren't easy. When you hear a modern day footballer in an era when they can earn millions and millions in half a season, to hear him say, listen, we learned that life was tough and that you had to push in life because we didn't have food at the weekend. We didn't have electricity or gas at the weekend. And then you ally that to what you saw when he was becoming, what is it, a record holder for the boys in green caps? Very near it, at least. Somebody who had an elite level career in the Premier League, irrespective of whether the team he was in was going well, whether he got on with his coach or not. He had a rough time at Sunderland. That grit and determination that adds to his ability and his intelligence. That's what maybe you keep coming back to when you have him as a colleague. And it's certainly why I wanted to interview him. I think we're talking about a substantial, bright man who I like. But the series of podcasts we do, and the reason he's on Off the Ball, is that when he shares his experience, when he shares his vista, he makes us all sport brighter. And I think that's what it's all about. We all enjoy our sport. It's really pleasant to watch it with somebody helping us understand it differently.
Graham, great stuff. I hope everybody subscribes to your Patreon and gets a full download and listen to that as well. It's Graham Hunter giving us some thoughts on the Champions League, and our own colleague Kevin Kilbane as well.